So I sort of haven't really cared about Marvel movies since the end of Phase 1 when the second Avengers Endgame movie aired, right? And we wrapped up all the story arcs from those original characters who carried us through the Thanos snap. And after that was when I just sort of went, yeah, I'm done. Like, it was cool. I watched 20 films or whatever it was, had a good run over a decade. I'm moving on to other things. And since then, I haven't really watched any. I actually haven't watched, I think, the past couple of Spider-Man films. I haven't been keeping up with the Joneses, so to speak. Haven't really watched the last run of Disney Plus shows, but I was compelled to sit down and watch Fantastic Four: First Steps with Chris, because I do have fond memories of the version they did in the was it the early 2000s or the late 90s? Um, the one that had Jessica Alba in it. I remember her being the Sue character, and actually Captain America himself was Johnny in those ones. I think they did two or three. I don't remember. I didn't even watch the last iteration they did of the Fantastic Four. Anyway, I felt compelled to watch this mostly because we both like Pedro Pascal. He is the man of the moment, and so I wanted to jump in and like. Also, Vanessa Kirby is awesome in everything she does, so I'm always happy to see her on screen. So we sat down to watch this. It's not a bad movie, but here's where I will say something. So I am not a hardcore comic book nerd, so I don't know the ins and outs of all these characters. I just have fond memories of the films that I mentioned, right? Chris is knows she didn't even know who the Fantastic Four were. That's how little Chris knows about um, Marvel and comic books in general. Like she didn't know who these characters were, whereas a lot of the characters from the original slate of Phase One, like Captain America and her, Hulk and Spider-Man and Iron Man, like she knew who those characters were even peripherally. She doesn't know who any of these people are. Um, our first sit down to watch this movie, we made it about, I don't know, 30, 45 minutes in to the point where they're in space going to meet Galactus, and she was like, it's late, I'm tired, let's just go to bed to finish this another day." And we came back a week later, which was last night, and finished the movie. It's not a bad film. Um, it is just that I think for the both of us, we have definitely hit that, and the proof is that we haven't watched a lot of Marvel movies or Marvel TV shows since the end of Phase One. We definitely both feel that sort of superhero fatigue, where it's just kind of like, really, like the stakes are always going to be galactic now. Like we have to have villains that are so literally out of this world. That's the only way to make them feel believable. And because they're so over the top, it's not believable. And so you just sort of have to disassociate yourself with what you're seeing on screen because you have to just realize that it's so not realistic. And that's part of what the charm of a superhero movie is that it's so outside of the realm of realism and you just got to roll with it, right? It is what it is. One thing I do think I really appreciated this, but was like the sort of '60s aesthetic, sort of like maybe we're seeing the Jetsons in action a little bit, especially with their little robot buddy. Um, but the movie very much jumps into an already established, which is why I'm not quite sure the title of First Steps, unless they're meaning the first steps that are the result of the spoiler alert baby that these two have. Because the movie starts off with them. Um, she's showing him a pregnancy test, saying we're pregnant, and they're like, "Hey, we've been trying for years." And then this is when we get into like this montage at the beginning of the film where it sort of does flashbacks to how they were all astronauts, they went into space, there was an accident, and then for the past, I think, 4 years or something, they've been the superheroes of the planet, you know? And wherever they're from, this version of reality that they're from, they are, as far as I understood it to be, they are the only superheroes of their planet. Because when Galactus comes a knocking and the Silver Surfer shows up, they are the only four who respond to that call. But it does appear that they are going to be tying into the upcoming Doomsday Avengers Avengers Doomsday film, which is going to be airing next summer, I think, because the end post credit sequence has Doctor Doom showing up to check out their baby. Anyway, I'm sort of jumping ahead of myself here. The plot line is sort of, like I said, it's a superhero movie. Big, Silver Surfer shows up, says, I am the herald of this big bad destroyer of planets, Galactus, and he's on his way here to destroy your planet. Get ready. And then they, of course, chase after her to find out what this is all about. They find out that Galactus is this big planet-eating machine, and inside that machine is a giant creature who appears to have once been a mortal man like them, but something happened billions of years ago, and he is now this planet-eating thing that is consumed by hunger, and he has to destroy worlds to fulfill that hunger. And he um, sees the baby inside of her tummy and says, "Ooh, your baby has special cosmic powers, and he could take this hunger from me and allow me to finally rest. Give me your baby, and I will spare your planet." And they're all like, "No!" And they go back to Earth. Shenanigans happen, um, and of course, Galactus ends up on their planet, and they have to then fight him. And they, oh no, almost lose the baby, but of course they're not going to lose the baby because um, that's not going to happen in a Marvel movie. And then the baby is revealed to have some sort of special powers because it brings mommy back from the dead. And then we flash forward through a post-credit sequence to the baby being 4 years old, wanting mommy to read him another book. And then as she comes back from the kitchen with the book, we see Doctor Doom um, talking to the baby and revealing his face to the baby. That's the short version. In the middle of that is some kind of not really relevant plot of the Silver Surfer being a woman who sacrificed herself to become the Herald to save her planet. And good old Johnny Boy manages to convince her to help take out the big baddie in exchange for all the planets she's helped destroy over the years. And that's essentially the movie in a nutshell. In between all of that is a bunch of really awesome VFX because the Marvel movies always have really amazing VFX. Quick commercial break, everyone, to celebrate and give thanks to all of these amazing people who keep me on the air full time. Really appreciate the support. All you got to do is join as a member. You get access to private videos. You can also do super thanks on any upload or super chats and stickers on any live stream or premiere you see. And beyond that, don't forget we're multi-streaming over on Twitch now, so you can support over there as well. Thanks so much to everybody. Let's get back to the video at hand. But overall, I felt like this was I didn't like this movie as much as I liked those. And it's I don't like to do I have a big thing on my channel where I say comparison is the thief of joy, right? And I try to enjoy everything for what they are. But the whole time I was watching this, I kept sort of comparing back to previous iterations of these characters that I've seen before. And I do the same thing with Batman and Superman, by the way. Like I have my favorite Batman, just as I have my favorite Superman. And I enjoy all the iterations of Batman and all the iterations of Superman, all the iterations of Spider-Man for the most part. I haven't really cared about the last couple because I'm over it for the moment. And I felt like that way about this. I've seen multiple iterations of the Fantastic Four now, and this is I'm kind of like okay. Um, I think the most underwhelming character of all was the Thing. Like he just sort of was there. I will admit that the beard they gave him was really cool when the power goes out. But everything seemed to rely upon Reed. Like Reed is pretty much running the show, which he's always been the scientific, smart guy. But his character, we don't get to see him being the womanizing, flame on guy that we saw in other iterations. And she was obviously pregnant the whole movie, so very reserved compared to previous. And we also, because we jump right into them already having established powers, I don't know. Like I said, we got to the end of it, and Chris just kind of shrugged her shoulders and went meh, and I sort of went meh. It made money. They're going to be in the Avengers movie, and I have no idea if it's going to get a sequel or not. But this is one movie where I will end it on a note saying it wasn't bad, but it also wasn't. Maybe I was expecting something different. At the end of the day, I think I'm probably suffering from that superhero fatigue, which is overshadowing my perception on this film because all of the actors did a good job. I think it was just the writers and the way these characters are portrayed that just it felt like we were thrown into the middle of something without a chance to actually get to know the characters. And for something that has the title First Steps in it, I was kind of like, by the end of it, I went, okay, they've got to be referring to the first steps of the baby because it did not feel like the first steps for the Fantastic Four, which makes this whole title feel weird because if we're not talking about the first steps of the Fantastic Four, then why is that in the title? I don't know. Still a good movie if you like action and Marvel movies. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop them down in the comments below. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. And I probably go need to get caught up on Spider-Man films now. I'll see you guys in the next one. Stay safe. Happy viewing.